I've chosen the children's book The Witches by Roald Dahl because it brings out fond memories of a time when I truly enjoyed reading. While book may not be overly serious or appropriate for my age, I believe it provides opportunities to convey a range of emotions. Where did it happen? She whispered. Where's the witch now? Is she at the hotel? Grandmama, I said. It wasn't just one. It was hundreds. They're all over the place. They're right here in the hotel this very moment. She leant forward and stared at me. You don't mean, you don't actually mean You don't mean to tell me that they're holding the annual meeting right here in the hotel? They've held it, Grandmama. It's finished. I heard it all. And all of them, including the Grand High Witch herself, are downstairs now. They're pretending they're the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. They're all having tea with the manager. And they caught you? They smelt me out, I said. Dog's droppings, was it? Said, sighing. I'm afraid so, but it wasn't strong. They very nearly didn't smell me because I hadn't had a bath for ages. Children should never have that, my grandmother said. It's a dangerous habit. I agree, Grandmama. She paused, sucking at her cigar. Do you really mean to tell me that they're all downstairs having tea? I said. I'm certain of it, Grandmama. There was another pause. I could see the old glint of excitement slowly coming back into my grandmother's eyes. And all of a sudden, she sat up very straight in her chair and said sharply, tell me everything, right from the beginning, and please hurry. I took a deep breath and began to talk. I told about going to the ballroom and hiding behind the screen to do my mouse training. I told about the notice saying Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. I told her all about the woman coming in and sitting down and about the small woman who appeared on the stage and took off her mask. But when it came to describing what her face looked like underneath the mask, I simply couldn't find the right words. It was horrible, Grandmama, I said. Oh, it was so horrible. It was like something that was going rotten. Go on, my grandmother said. Don't stop. Then I told her all about the others taking off their wigs and their gloves and their shoes, and how I saw before me a sea of bald, pimply heads, and how the woman's fingers had little claws and how their feet had no toes. My grandmother come forward in her armchair so that she was sitting right on the edge of it. Both her hands were cupped over the gold knob, a gold knob of the stick that she always used when walking. And she was staring at me with eyes as bright as two stars. Then I told her about how the Grand High Witch had shot up the fiery white hot sparks, and how they turned one of the other witches into a puff of smoke. I've heard about that, my grandmother cried out excitedly, but I've never quite believed it. You're the first non-witch to ever see it happening. It is the Grand High Witch's most famous punishment. It is known as getting fried. And all the other witches are petrified of having it done to them. I'm told that the Grand High Witch makes a rule to fry at least one witch at the annual meeting. She does it in order to keep the rest of them on their toes. But they don't have any toes, Grandmama. I know they don't, my darling, but please go on. So when I told my grandmother about the delayed action mouse maker, and when I came up to the bit about turning all the children of England into mice, she actually leapt out of her chair shouting, I knew it! I knew they were brewing something tremendous. We've got to stop them, I said. She turned and stared at me. You can't stop witches, she said. Just look at the power that terrible Grand High Witch has in her eyes alone. She could kill any one of us. She could kill any one of us at any time with those hot sparks of hers. You saw it yourself. Even so, Grandmama, we still got to stop her from turning all the children of England into mice. You haven't quite finished, she said. Tell me about Bruno. How did they get to him? So I described about how Bruno Jenkins has come in, and I've actually seen him with my own eyes being shrunk into a mouse. My grandmother looked at Bruno, who was guzzling away in a bowl of bananas. Does he ever stop eating? She asked. Never, I said. Could you explain something to me, Grandmama? I'll try, said. She reached out and lifted me off the table and put me on her lap. Very gently, she began stroking the soft fur along my back. It felt nice. What is it you wanted to ask me, darling? Then The thing I don't understand, I said, is how Bruno and I are still able to talk and think as we did before. It's quite simple, my grandmother said. All they've done is just shrink you and give you four legs and a furry coat, but they haven't been able to change you into a 100% mouse. You're still yourself in everything except your appearance. You still got your own mind and your own brain and your own voice. And thank goodness for that. So I'm not really an ordinary mouse at all. I'm sort of a mouse person. Quite right, he said. You are a human in a mouse clothing. You are very special. We sat there in silence for a few moments, while my grandmother went on stroking me very gently with a finger and puffing her cigar with the other hand. The only sound in the room was made by Bruno as he attacked the bananas in the bowl. But I wasn't doing nothing as I lay there on her lap. I was thinking like mad. My brain was whizzing as it has never whizzed before. Grandmama, I said, I may have a bit of an idea. Thank you.